She said it right after the Uber pulled up. Don't touch me. No anger. No tears. Just a flat line across her lips, like she was cutting a thread between us. We'd just gotten home from her sister's wedding, an exhausting display of champagne, posed smiles, and silent hostilities. I tried to put my arm around her on the walk up to our door, like some kind of instinctual peace offering. And that's when she said it. I stepped back, hand still half extended, like a fool. She walked inside first, heels echoing on the tile. I closed the door, checked my watch, and quietly made a decision. That was the last time she'd get to draw a line without consequence. See, most people think betrayal begins with an affair, with a lie, but it really starts with entitlement, the moment someone decides they own the right to you without returning the value. That night, she drew her line. I drew mine right back. Don't touch my money. I slept in the guest room. Door locked. She didn't knock. She never did. I lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking about the last 7 years. The boutique, funded by my inheritance. The lake house, purchased with my stock options, the ones I cashed out early against my better judgment. The car she drove, leased under my name. Her sister's wedding gift. The $15,000 check slipped into that little white envelope. She didn't even know it came from my personal account, not ours. But the worst part wasn't the money. It was realizing how she looked at me now, like I was just in the way. That Monday, I met with my lawyer. Kevin's been with me since my first acquisition, sharp, discreet, and not easily rattled. I told him everything, not just about her pulling away, about the finances, the tension, the subtle shifts. She hasn't cheated yet, I said. Not that I can prove. Kevin didn't flinch. Doesn't matter. You want out clean, or you want her to learn something? I didn't answer right away. I just looked at the prenup we'd signed, back when she was the one with the graduate degree and I was still clawing my way through startup chaos. I'd added a postnup 3 years ago after my first exit. A quiet update she signed during a vacation in Napa. Wine, sun, charm. She hadn't even read it. Clean was on the table. But clean didn't feel right. She doesn't get to walk away with half, I finally said. She doesn't get to ice me out emotionally and then live off my effort. Kevin smiled. Then let's get to work. That same week, I stopped the bleeding. Canceled joint credit cards. Shifted the auto pay on our mortgage to my business trust. Moved personal assets into a limited liability holding account that, by design, she had no visibility into. I did it all legally, methodically, like clockwork. She didn't notice. Too busy booking brunches and planning a solo trip to Tulum with her friend Maya. The same Maya whose text thread I'd quietly mirrored to my second phone. She's done, Maya had typed. She's just a shadow of the man he used to be, my wife responded. That was Thursday night. She came home late, her perfume mixed with something that didn't belong to me. I didn't flinch, just kept playing my role. Friday morning, I left early for the office. Spent the day moving more than just numbers, futures, pensions, endowments. I'd started a private equity firm the year before. On paper, it was separate from my personal finances. In practice, every asset she thought we shared was owned through it. By Saturday, I'd initiated the closure of her boutique's vendor credit line. Quietly, legally. The payments would stop in 30 days unless she made up the difference. I knew she wouldn't. She hadn't managed the books since year 2. I had. Sunday, I brought her coffee. Smiled. She scrolled through her phone, legs curled on the couch, looking like a stranger in my house. What? She said, noticing me staring. Nothing, I said. Just thinking. About. Balance, I said. Fairness. She laughed. That's vague. I nodded. So is marriage lately. She rolled her eyes and went back to her feed. I took the cup she didn't finish, dumped it in the sink, and started planning the next phase. Phase 2 would be public. Not explosive, just visible enough to change the story. She liked stories. Instagram reels. Appearances. So I gave her one. I scheduled a public charity gala, something we'd host together. Put her name on the invite. Rented the venue. Silent auction. Press. 2 days before the gala, I leaked the vendor defaults from her boutique to a niche industry blog. Nothing dramatic, just enough to question her solvency. Her phone started buzzing that afternoon. Have you seen this? She asked, storming into my office. I looked up calmly. Yes. You're not going to say anything? What's there to say? She paused. This is bad for me. I nodded. And you think I should fix it? She didn't answer, just stared. The distance between us no longer emotional. It was strategic now. At the gala, she showed up late, dressed to distract. I greeted donors, signed checks, smiled for photos. She smiled too, but it didn't reach her eyes. Not anymore. During the speech, I thanked her publicly for her vision, her early support. I even mentioned the boutique, knowing it would sting. She smiled through it, but I saw the twitch in her cheek. That night, we posed for photos on the steps outside. Flashbulbs lit the dark. She leaned into me, fake laughing for the cameras. And just before the last shot, I whispered into her ear, "I know about Tulum. I know about Maya's texts. And I know about your secret account in Atlanta." She froze. The flash went off. Smile. Snap. Done. I stepped away from her on the final shot. Not dramatically. Just enough. Enough for people to wonder. Enough for questions to start. The next morning, her world began to shrink. By Tuesday, her boutique's vendors started pulling out. A designer dropped her line. Then a supplier. By Thursday, her store manager called in sick, never came back. Customers stopped posting photos. The influencer traffic she relied on evaporated. Algorithms don't favor scandals. At home, she pretended nothing had changed. She still cooked kale and quinoa, still took her overpriced supplements, still talked like everything was temporary. "It's just a hiccup," she said. "The blog will issue a correction." She didn't know the blog's editor owed me a favor from 2 years ago. Loan restructure, interest-free. The correction never came. I sat in the living room that evening, glass of bourbon in hand, watching her scroll through her phone like she was trying to resuscitate her reputation. She looked up. "You've been quiet lately," she said. I sipped. "So have you." She narrowed her eyes. "Are you mad at me?" "No," I said. "I'm focused." That scared her more than yelling ever could. I knew she'd try something next. She always reached for the money when she felt things slipping. That Friday, I got the alert. She tried to wire $40,000 from our shared account to her boutique's business line, the same one I'd flagged to my team 3 days earlier. The transfer failed. Blocked. She confronted me in the kitchen. "You froze the account?" "No," I said. "The bank did." Red flags. Red flags. Too many withdrawals. High-risk exposure. Boutique's not looking healthy. Her voice cracked. "You're doing this on purpose." I looked her dead in the eye. "You said don't touch you. So I'm returning the favor." Her hands clenched. She was about to speak, but she stopped herself. Walked out. Later that night, she left. Claimed she was staying at Maya's. I checked the GPS on her car. Not Maya's. A condo downtown. One registered under a shell company I'd traced 3 months ago. The beneficiary? An interior consultant named Bryce. The same man she posted a collaboration selfie with last year. I'd ignored it back then. I didn't now. I didn't follow her. Didn't need to. I had someone else do it. Someone quiet, reliable. She was there all night. His lights were off at midnight. On again by 6. By Monday, I filed a notice with the state board on her boutique's zoning violations. Minor infractions, overstocked inventory in non-retail areas. Enough to trigger an inspection. Enough to stall operations. The letter arrived on Wednesday. She opened it in front of me. "What the hell is this?" "Looks like you'll need a permit review," I said, without looking up from my laptop. She stared at me, face slowly unraveling. "You really want a war?" I finally looked up. "You declared it the night you said don't touch me." She left again. This time, I let her go without tracking her. Didn't need more evidence. I already had everything I needed. Bank statements, texts, transfers, voicemails. Her attempt to secure a silent partner through a friend of Bryce's, a strategic investor who never showed. Probably because he ran background checks and saw my name on every lease. She didn't know I owned the building her boutique operated in. I bought it a year ago, through another shell. The eviction notice went out the following week. Not under my name. Under the property management group. She had 30 days to vacate. Public record. I knew it had hit her before it even hit her inbox. She came home drunk that night. Not the classy wine drunk. Slurred speech, smeared mascara, stumbling into the hallway like a forgotten extra in her own life. "You ruined me," she whispered. "You're a monster." I stood in the doorway. "No," I said. "I'm a mirror. You ruined yourself." She reached for me, sobbing. The same hands that once pushed me away now clawing for some version of the man she discarded. I stepped back. "You said don't touch you, remember?" She collapsed into a heap on the floor. I didn't lift her. 2 days later, her attorney called mine. She wanted mediation, not divorce. Not yet. Just clarity. Maybe an agreement. Kevin and I met them at a neutral office downtown. She showed up in a beige coat too expensive for her new reality. I just want what's fair, she said. I slid the documents across the table. A full accounting of every asset, every transfer, every financial action for the last 12 months. My signature on every investment. Her name on none. She stared at the numbers. Kevin spoke flatly. You have no legal claim to these funds. No rights to the properties. No stake in the trust. He offered you generous terms once. You said don't touch you. This is the response. Her lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Surely there's room to negotiate. Kevin tapped the document stack. These are already merciful. She looked at me then. Hollow. Afraid. You're not the man I married. You're right, I said. That man thought love didn't need protection. This one doesn't make that mistake. She left in silence. That night, I poured another bourbon. Looked out the window at the city she used to rule in heels and confidence. Now she was a headline waiting to drop. A brand no investor would touch. But I wasn't finished yet. There was one more move left. And this one would break her image completely. The gala photos hit page 6 by Monday. Most didn't care about me. They focused on her. The once vibrant face now stiff, strained. The slight lean away from me in every photo. The final frame where I took that half step back. It told a story, and people started to read between the lines. By Wednesday, a gossip column ran a piece on the private unraveling of a boutique mogul. Speculation mostly, but enough to spark a wave of returns at her store. Online reviews dipped. Her social following nosedived. That's when I executed the final move. It wasn't about money. Not this time. It was about credibility. Her boutique brand had signed a licensing deal a year ago, a brand collaboration with an international distributor. Her name was the core of the brand. The contract had a morality clause, and all I needed was one public scandal tied directly to her name. So I sent a package. Not to the press. Not to her family. To the distributor. It included screenshots. Financial irregularities. A breakdown of the Atlanta account she thought I didn't know about. The Bryce photos. Even one where she used company funds to fly him to Vegas for what she called a pop-up scouting trip. The distributor responded in less than 24 hours. Contract terminated. She found out when her assistant texted her a link to the press release. I was sitting on the balcony when she came storming outside, phone in hand. You went too far. I didn't look at her. No, you just went too long unchecked. I made mistakes, but I never. You made choices, I cut her off. So did I. She stood there in silence, wind tugging at the sleeves of her now off-label coat. I loved you, she said, voice cracking. Then you should have protected me, I said. Like I did for years. She sank into the chair across from me, suddenly small. What now? Now? I shrugged. You rebuild. Or you don't. Either way, I'm done. I filed for divorce the next day. Served by courier, no drama. She signed a week later. No contest. We didn't meet again. No final argument. No closure dinner. Just silence and signatures. The court granted the dissolution 30 days later. She walked away with whatever she hadn't already leveraged. No alimony. No stake in the firm. No property. She sold her car. Closed the boutique. Started some online consulting thing that never really took off. Her Instagram turned quiet. Only the occasional motivational quote, posted at 2 a.m. I moved forward. New city. New firm. New name on the door. But every now and then, I hear about her. A friend sends a screenshot. A mutual acquaintance mentions her name. She always comes up like a shadow, never full light. Last I heard, she was working in retail again. Assistant buyer. Reports to someone 10 years younger than her. People ask if I ever feel bad. No, not because I hate her. Not because I needed revenge. But because I gave her the warning. The night she said it. Don't touch me. She drew the line. She just didn't expect me to draw one sharper. Control isn't about domination. It's about clarity. And clarity was what saved me. Now I sleep alone. Not because I have to, but because peace is expensive, and I already paid for it in full.